our director, and one of our members, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu FNAPE. Today, he will be taking us on a topic, unleashing the prospectivity of Cretaceous deposits in Nigeria. And to discuss this with him, we have great geoscientists and all of us here present. The following people will be representing us in the discussion, while others will be contributing as well. We have Professor Ibrahim Garuba, FNMGS. Professor Ibrahim Garuba is the immediate past Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University. We have our beloved brother, Dr. Joe Ejedewe. His name rings bell, and he's one of us. We also have Professor Sam Akonde, FNAPE. He's also one of us, and a great geoscientist. And we have the mommy in the house, our beloved president, Mrs. Patricia Oshobo, FNAPE. And we have a host of geoscientists and non-geoscientists. Please, for non-geoscientists amongst us here, in case we start sounding so technical, please bear with us. But we'll try as much as possible to simplify the words that we'll be using. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for coming. I will share for us the agenda that we have for today's event. I promise to give us back our afternoon. We will spend maximum of 1 hour, 30 minutes as we start. So I promise to give us back our afternoon once we are done with all that we have to do. Displaying on the screen is the agenda for today. Please confirm you can see my screen. And we've got the arrivals.
But I can see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, very well.
We can see your screen.
Very good. Thank you, my president-elect. So we have the arrivals. We have the opening prayer to be led by the NAPE Secretariat. Then we have the safety moment to be led by Mr. Ajibola Oyebamije FNAPE. We have the welcome remarks by our beloved president and the mother of the house. Then we have citation of the celebrant to be led by Mrs. Olajumeke. Then we have the presentation as we move on to be led by Dr. Emmanuel FNAPE. Then the panelists will lead us in this order: Dr. Joe Ejedewe, Professor Ibrahim Garuba, Professor Sam Akonde, and the president, Mrs. Pat Oshobo. Then we'll have about 20 minutes of interactions amongst us. Then we cut our cake. For those of us who are in diaspora, the cake will be sent to us after the cutting. Then we'll have vote of thanks by Dr. Kunle Adeshida FNAPE, and then the closing prayer by NAPE Secretariat. I promise us that I will be very time conscious. I promise us that our morning and early afternoon will not be wasted. I promise us that we will enjoy all our outings today. Your Excellencies that are here present with us, we welcome you to this August event. And I hand over to NAPE Secretariat as they lead us in the opening prayer, national anthem. Tunde, please, over to you.
To stand for the national anthem.
Yeah, we may stand or we may want to sit. Tunde, do you want to maximize it?
So people can be seated. We are not in a hall. So.
Tunde, please start. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, NAPE Secretariat, led by Tunde, Mr. Tunde. We'll hand over to Mr. Ajibola Oyebamiji, FNAPE, for the safety moment. Tunde, please pin Mr. Ajibola. Thank you.
Okay.
Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it very well, sir.
I see your full screen.
We can see you and we can hear you.
Okay, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share a few highlights of this safety moment with us on this very important occasion where we are celebrating our own the past president of this association, NAPE, Dr. Emmanuel. Happy birthday, sir, and good morning. Just a reminder that the rains are here. There's the danger of flood, especially in lowland, especially for some of our colleagues who are in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Warri, and other places. As much as possible, do not walk or swim or drive through flooded waters. Stay safe where you are, or if you need to move to a higher ground, it's very important. If need be, you can evacuate. Let's listen to radio. We may say our predictions are not always on the spot, but it helps. Let's listen to the weather forecast. We never know. For some of our areas, let's monitor some of the potential signs because continuous rains, especially when it starts to rain for more than 1 day, such as we had recently in Lagos. Everywhere was flooded. And on the second slide, finally, for some of us who have come back to the office, let's continue to observe all the safety protocols as regards the COVID-19. We are also reminded that the Delta variant is here with us again, but we know that the same God who has helped us thus far as a country or as a continent is still alive. So, but we need to do our own bit. Let's keep safe. Let's observe all the safety protocols, both at home, at work, and when we go out. A moment at the sink to wash our hands and sanitize where necessary is better than 1 day of being bedridden. Let's wash our hands regularly with soap and water and use alcohol-based sanitizer where necessary. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Oyebamiji Ajibola FNAPE, for that wonderful safety moment. We'll move on to welcome remarks by our beloved president, Mrs. Patricia Oshobo FNAPE.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this August event that is taking place in July. I am extremely delighted to welcome you all to today's event in honor of Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu. I have known Dr. Enu since 1980 when he was my course advisor. And therefore, we have a long history and we have come a long way. It gives me a great honor to be the president of NAPE at this time when we are honoring one of our own. Dr. Enu has been an exemplary NAPE member. He has distinguished himself in the fields of academia, in the fields of actual producing oil, and he's popularly known as Mr. Deepwater. There's a reason for that. I'm sure we're going to have a pleasant time learning from his experiences and garnering information that will influence the rest of our careers. I would like to give you back some time and I will say welcome. Welcome to everyone. Thank you. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, my beloved president. The president of Nigerian Association of Petroleum Exploration is Mrs. Patricia Oshobu, FNAPE. Thank you for that welcoming remarks. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please let's listen to know who is Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu, FNAPE, as Mrs. Olajumoke Ajayi reads his citation. Mrs. Ajayi, over to you, please.
Okay, can you all hear me, please?
Very loud and clear, ma'am.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Happy birthday, sir. It is my honor to read your citation this morning. Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu, FNAPE, was born in Kano State to very humble Bishop and Mrs. Titus U.E. Enu. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu, hails from Abi in Ndokwa West Local Government Area of Delta State. Emmanuel holds BSc, MSc, and PhD degrees in geology. He lectured at the then University of Ife from 1979 to 1991 and grew to become an associate professor of geology before he temporarily exited the academia to join Shell Nigeria in 1991. Emmanuel worked for the Shell Group from year 1991 to 2008 and held several positions, including senior review geologist, head of evaluation, head of geological services, head of regional studies, head representation and agreement. He was a pioneer staff of SNAPE and was the first African team lead in Shell's Deepwater Center of Excellence in Houston, managing the Niger Delta team. He became the first Nigerian deepwater exploration manager from year 2004 to 2008 for Shell Nigeria. Emmanuel led a viable team that has contributed the lion's share of reserves to the Shell Group through successive discoveries, which include Bonga 1, Bonga Southwest 1, Bolia 1, Doro 1, Bonga Northwest 1, Bobo 1 and 2, Eton 1 and 2, Zaba 1 and 2, and several other follow-up appraisal wells. Emmanuel is known in industry circles as Mr. Deepwater because of his vast knowledge of deepwater geology and the huge contributions he made to Nigeria's reserve aspiration. Emmanuel joined BG Group in July 2008 as the first Nigerian general manager exploration and restructured their exploration department. Emmanuel, together with other oil and gas professionals, midwifed and established one of the leading independents in the Nigeria oil and gas industry, First E&P. The company is very aggressive in exploration and production and currently has equity in 5 blocks within the short period of its existence. First E&P is now a producing company, having achieved first oil in year 2020. Emmanuel is a pioneer executive director, exploration for First E&P. Emmanuel is a past president of NAPE, a fellow of NAPE, and an Arrett Adams Award winner, awardee, the highest award of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NAPE. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome the celebrant, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Eno.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Olajumoke Ajayi, for that wonderful citation. As we move on to the Ray presentation to be given by Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Eno, FNAPE. For those of us in the academia, remember why we are doing all this roundtable forum is to create a bridge between the industry and the academia. So I believe a lot of research opportunities and clarifications will come from this very important topic. I hand over to Dr. Emmanuel Eno for the next 30 minutes. He will run us through. I will be off the camera. Once he sees me on the camera, you know your time is coming up. Thank you very much as we move on. Over to you, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Eno, FNAPE.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the wonderful things you said in this introduction. One thing that made me a little bit emotional was when the Nigerian national anthem was being raised. I was asking myself, who am I to honor to have a Nigerian national anthem being raised during this meeting? That was why I put my hand on my chest to show that I respect all of you and respect the nation. Let's go to today. Your Excellencies from various states who are locked on, especially Lagos, Delta, Ondo, Edo, and Ogun states. Honorable ministers here present. The GMD of NNPC is locked on. MDs of EMP industry in Nigeria, especially my own MD, Ademola Bero. I'm proud of him. NAPE president and EXCO, the BOT and AC members of NAPE, professors, students of Nigerian universities, my family members, my very close friends, committee of friends, my colleagues in EMP, ladies and gentlemen. The committee of friends who put this together gave me this topic. And when they were doing it, I said, why? They said, you are going to talk to the academia because you are coming from there. I was in Ife. I graduated from Ife in 1974, and I lectured in Ife from 79 to 91, like Mrs. Ajayi read in the citation. He said, we are taking you back to your roots. So, thank you very much. I will be as simple as possible. There are many technical jargons in geology, and I know that a lot of us who are logged on today are not geologists. So I will try to carry everybody along. For those geologists and those colleagues who know even more than what I'm going to present, I apologize, just tag along. For students and those who are non-technical, I just want to be sure you come along with me. The outline for today's presentation, I'll go through what you have seen there: regional setting, stratigraphy, Cretaceous deposits. Now, the Cretaceous deposits that the committee that has put this together, actually what they are actually looking at deposit that you have in one of the basins of Nigeria. I will show you this. Nigerian tar sands, economic growth, Canadian experience, Cretaceous open blocks, and some of the discoveries. Here is geologic map of Nigeria. And mouse is not working. Okay, geologic map of Nigeria, you have circled what you call Dahomey embayment, which is one of the basins in Nigeria. The other basins are there. There are sedimentary basins in Nigeria are S-shaped. So you have from Borno Basin in the northeast to Sokoto Basin in the northwest, come down Bida Basin, Benue Trough, Abakaliki, Niger Delta, and then the Dahomey Basin to the left. And to the right of this slide, you have what we geologists call the geology time scale. This is important because I'll be mentioning a few things during this presentation, and I want everybody to follow. You could see I have highlighted Cretaceous. On the title, you have Cretaceous. Cretaceous is one of the periods in geology, and the Cretaceous age, like we geologists use, it's about 100 million, 140 million years ago. But the Niger Delta that everybody knows about is younger than the Cretaceous. Niger Delta is 65 million years. But you can see them side by side, the Niger Delta and the Dahomey Basin. But the Niger Delta is separated from the Dahomey Basin by the Okitipupa Ridge, which you have there. By the Okitipupa Ridge. Okay, good. That's the Okitipupa Ridge here. That's Niger Delta. And this is Dahomey Basin. We'll be talking about this basin. So this basin is separated from the Niger Delta by this subsurface structural high called the Okitipupa Ridge. So this is Cretaceous in age, and this is Tertiary in age. 144 million years, 65 million years. That's why I've shown the geology time scale here, Cretaceous, and it's subdivided into several ages here, starting from the Barasian up to Maastrichtian. So when you hear me talk about Aptian, Ardian, Sinomanian, Turonian, Conatian, Santonian, I'm talking about the subdivision of the Cretaceous. Now, if we go back in time, about 154 million years, you will see Africa here hugging South America. They were in love. They're hugging each other. But with time, this love affair ended and they started drifting apart. So they started drifting apart, moving away from each other. And if you see this, the first one, bottom right, they drifted apart starting from the south here, and this is the beginning of the South Atlantic and the formation of the transport margin. So the two continents, Africa and South America, were sort of separating from each other, and that movement is called what you call the wrench faulting. They were moving side by side each other. And by the time they finished the movement here and there, you find some sediments coming into, the early sediments coming into the basin, and several basins being formed. And a couple of basins that I will mention during the course of this presentation were formed, starting from Nigeria to Sierra Leone. And that's why we call the entire area from Nigeria to Sierra Leone the West African Transform Margin. So if you hear me say WATM, I mean the West African Transform Margin. So if I move on to the West African Transform Margin, you see from the right here, Dahomey Embayment, that's about Nigeria. Moving towards Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, you have the Tano Basin, very important. I will mention that as we go on. We have the Sierra Leone and Liberian Basin. You have a dotted line here, and you have the Northwest African Atlantic Margin. That is the margin north of Sierra Leone up to Guinea. The difference between this margin and the West African transform margin is that you have some salt in the Northwest African Atlantic margin. I wouldn't go into those details. So the basin evolution, just like I described, the Atlantic Ocean opened separation of Africa from South America, which we call the rifting. I talked about Northwest African Atlantic margin. And we talked about large soil structures north of Sierra Leone. The petroleum systems that are important here, for geologists, I'm sure they'll understand what I'm saying. The two petroleum systems important are the Cenomanian-Turonian and the Lower Cretaceous. Cenomanian-Turonian, we've seen several discoveries during this period, also Lower Cretaceous. The difference between the two is that one is more structural than the other, and the other one is stratigraphic. Now, when all these were going on, geologists tried to see if they could make discoveries of commercial accumulation in the West African transform margin. So the early and previous exploration did not record any success. Success was recorded in 2007 when the Jubilee discovery was made. And as a result of this, this sort of encouraged other explorationists, and aggressive exploration started in the West African transform margin, starting from Nigeria to Sierra Leone. But in geology, we don't go without risks. It's not honky-dory. There are commercial risks, there are technical risk, reservoir. If you don't have reservoir, you don't have hydrocarbon. You need charge access, that's the hydrocarbon coming into the reservoir. You need trap. Trap is the container that houses the hydrocarbon, and the hydrocarbon type, whether it is gas or oil. Now, along the West African transform margin, you've seen all these discoveries that are there, starting from Aceh all the way to Ivory Coast. Let me know, but Kano Basin is very important. That's the basin you have offshore Ghana. If I go on to the stratigraphy, stratigraphy is talking about what are the lithology, what are the sediments that you have from the older sediment to the younger sediments. Here we have sandstone, we have shales, we have clays, we have limestones as well. So, but of importance here is what I have colored green there, that's the play system. The play systems that are important in these basins are the Albian play, the Cenomanian play, and the Turonian play. Those are the plays from where discoveries have been recorded in this West African transform margin. You can read this on the screen. Let me not go. And during each of these plays, especially the Cenomanian, you have the Sankofa in Ghana, the Aceh field in Nigeria, the Turonian play, you have the Jubilee field, where you had discovery in 2007. You have the Tem field also in Ghana, and you have our own Aceh field discovered in 2006. The play types. I mentioned the play types we have. We have the structural play type, which has the base, Albian, and you have the upper Cretaceous stratigraphic play type. Structural play type, meaning that you have faults that are bounding the reservoirs and the plays. And at the top upper Cretaceous, you have the stratigraphic play type, meaning that you don't have faults, you don't have structures binding this, but they are encompassed by very fine-grained materials, clay or shale. And that is the kind of discovery that we have in Ghana, the Jubilee, and some other discoveries as well. So this is just talking about the play type, but the early explorationists drilled in an area we call the bypass zone, and so they didn't discover anything. Geologists know what I mean, the bypass. Bypass zone is not stable. Once the equilibrium is altered, everything that you have there will now move towards the basin. I will show you this. And so when they moved into deeper water, they started getting discoveries. So this is the model, and this is the bypass zone that I was talking about. And then if you come down slope, you find all those stratigraphic plays that are also mentioned. So at the base where you have SR means source rock. Source rock is the kitchen where you cook or bake your kerosene into hydrocarbon. And the other part above the red line are the stratigraphic plays. Stratigraphic meaning that they are encompassed by clay material. This is the Liberian-Sierra Leone Basin, where the area in red were the early areas where exploration was carried out and they didn't find any discovery. So that corresponds to the bypass zone. And when they moved into deeper water, the Venus and the Mercury discoveries were made. So the Cretaceous play in the West African transform margin, you have Cretaceous source rocks. The petroleum system have been proven, meaning that they drilled, they found hydrocarbon, and the traps, as a container, could be stratigraphic or a combination. And the reservoirs with sandstones, at times you find limestone reservoirs. This is also showing the same thing. I will skip this. So I go to the Cretaceous deposits. Tar sands. I'm sure a lot of you must have heard about tar sands. I'm sure my professors are listening. Nigerian tar sand deposits extends across Edo, Ondo, Ogun, Delta states. And it's 6 kilometers wide. You have the small map here, and 120 kilometers long. When you say tar sands, it's a mixture of sand grains, clay, water, but held together. The sand is held together by some asphalt-like crude oil called bitumen. We'll talk about this. So if you look at this, normally when you have sands, they have some cementing materials holding them together. But in this case, what is holding them, the sand grains together, is the tarry oil, which is the bitumen. Those who did some analysis of these tar sands found that the clay content is so small, which is good, and it's lower than the average in Athabasca in Canada, where you have extensive deposits of tar sands. These are the countries where you have tar sands, including Nigeria. And Nigeria has the third largest tar sand deposit and bitumen in the world after Canada and Venezuela. The villagers are quite smart. When we're doing some work around our area, you find that the villagers were scooping, because on sunny days, this thing comes to the surface, and villagers were scooping this and using it to cement the base of their houses so that flood does not carry their mud houses. So they know the importance of the tar. So the one at the left is the tar sand. The grains are held together by the bitumen, those dark ones, and the grains are subangular to subrounded. I'm sure my colleague geologists know what I'm talking about. And the section that we had from the tar sand area around Ore is what you have on the right. We subdivided this into top and bottom, and between the top horizon X and Y, which we could name them, you find the oil shale. The oil shale has other technology of bringing the bitumen out. So what you have here is when the team working on the tar sands, on those state tar sands, were working under the able leadership of the emeritus professors, Professor O.S. Adegoke. You could see the drilling some core holes, and below it you find some materials that have been extracted from the ground. These are cores. I'm happy to report that a couple of MScs and PhDs have come out of this, because these are very good samples. Now, Obafemi Awolowo University carried out some extensive investigation here. I said that investigation was led by O.S. Adegoke, emeritus professor. We drilled some 40 core holes, 17 square kilometers, and there we confirmed the vast tar sand occurrence with high saturation of bitumen. And when we calculated the 17 square kilometers area that we walked, we found about 40 billion barrels of oil equivalent in that small area. And if you add the Ogun State, the Ondo State, Delta State to this, we have over 100 billion barrels of oil equivalent. If you go to Agbabu area today, you find the well that was drilled in the 1904, 1908 by the defunct Nigerian Bitumen Corporation. It's still sticking out there. People go there and you can scoop out some of this tarry material from that well. Now, to exploit the tar sand, there are two ways of doing that. The bitumen is too viscous, it can't flow, just like Vaseline. Vaseline cannot flow. You have to have Vaseline to flow. Maybe you heat it or do something. So bitumen within tar sands cannot flow. But in some shallow areas where you have the tar sands, you can exploit them by open cast mining, just like it's done in Canada. But the ones that are deeply buried, in order to bring out the bitumen from the tar sand, you have to inject hot steam. So that will allow the bitumen to flow through the well to the surface. Now, while you are doing this, there are some byproducts from the tar sands: sulfur, sulfuric acid, that helps you with your fertilizer plants and detergents, phenol, pitch, petrochemicals, and nickel. So apart from the tar sand, apart from the bitumen, you can also find these byproducts. The extraction of bitumen from the tar sands does not just come like that. It has some impact on the environment. I have to warn, in as much as it provides, it adds to the economy of a country, it has some impact on the environment as well. For you to scoop off enough volume of tar sand, a lot must be destroyed from the forest. The pit mines can grow as deep as 80 meters, and you have several trucks that can have to carry several tons of sand every day to the plant. Other environmental challenges during the tar sand exploitation: air pollution can constitute health hazard. It has impact on the landscape, and it produces a lot of waste, leftover sand, because it's only the tar and the bitumen you want. And so you heap this sand somewhere, and the clays also have some kind of toxic materials that are not good for human consumption because they could seep into groundwater. Those of you that know groundwater, when you drill a borehole, you think you have very good water, but if you are close to this kind of areas, they seep into groundwater. And so they prevent ducks, birds, and co from coming because those things are toxic. And also greenhouse gases, carbon emissions during the production of this. Now, the Athabasca gas, tar sand, oil sand, has contributed a lot to the economy of Alberta in Canada, about 30% of gross domestic product. Similarly, our own mineral deposit can add to the economic growth of our great nation through enhanced foreign exchange earning. Also benefit from the job engagements if we go and harness this tar sand, and self-employment schemes for the youth. And it will be a foreign exchange earning second to our normal conventional bread and butter that we have in Nigeria in the coming years if we harness the tar sand. But the Canadian experience is something we must talk about. The Canadian tar sand has the capacity to produce 174.5 billions of oil, barrels of oil. But only 20% of this are close to the surface where you can mine through open cast mining. And the remaining 80% you have to extract by injecting hot water into the well to liquefy the oil for pumping. Conventional oil has steady oil, but tar sands has gone up from 1 million barrels per day in 2005 to 2.5 million barrels in 2015. Now, this is a picture of Athabasca gas sand in Alberta. You could see a lot going on, emissions. has the largest, third largest reserves in the world. It's energy intensive, but it destroys the landscape. You could see all the big equipment at the construction site in Athabasca, Canada. So you need a lot of earth-moving equipment to strip out the topsoil in order to get and excavate the tar sand. These are the slurry, the clay, the tailings pond, and the toxic materials that you get out of tar sand when you are trying to extract the bitumen. You have the industrial landfill. So that's tar sand. The tar sand, as you can see from this map, down to the left, tar sand belt in the north, and if you move offshore, you get to the Ajay Field and Ogo discovery. Ajay Field is also Cretaceous in age. And so it's an extension of the tar sand belt. Ogo discovery is also Cretaceous in age. It's an extension of the tar sand belt, offshore the tar sand. And below that, you have what I put there as open blocks. We'll get to that. Ajay in OMA 113 is in the basin, discovered in 1997. The resources are in the Turonian to Sinomanian, one of the ages in the Cretaceous. And the Ajay 4 drilling confirmed the commerciality of the Ajay field. And by the time discovery was made, it had an estimated 380 million barrels of oil. And at first production, the rate was about 7,000 barrels of oil per day. I do not know what it's doing today. But that is the FPSO in the Ajay field that stores the hydrocarbon from the field before it is moved by shuttle. This is the Ogo discovery. Ogo discovery close to the Ajay field in OPL 310. This was also done by one of the indigenous companies, Lake Oil. And it's one of the discoveries also in the West African Transform Margin after the Jubilee discovery. Estimated a volume of about 770 million barrels of oil equivalent P50, but I do not know what it is today. Appraisal wells are being planned for the next coming years. This is a seismic, and for the geologists, I'm sure you know what this means. So OPL 310, where you have Ogo field, is to our right. And as you go down slope, you find turbidites are Cretaceous material. And for those who have done evaluation, if I press my button, you could see all those things in yellow, means that those are the things to go after, because those are areas where you could find either good reservoirs before you now find whether they have carbon. Now, this is a paleogeographic map of the area, the open block area. I'm not going to keep this for too long before you go and quote me. The canyons and the channels that bring sediments into the basins you find here. This is the Avon Canyon. And to the left, you have the Semi-Paleo Canyon, and they are bringing material sediments here. So these are the sediment fairways into the open block areas. And the ones you have in orange are the depot centers, where you could find very good reservoir. So you have the channels. Canyon is just like holding a fry pan. You hold the fry pan, the hand of the fry pan is your channel, and inside the fry pan where you fry your things, you call the depot center. So that's what is happening here. So if the government says tomorrow there's bid round in these open blocks, you know where to go to. I'm going to leave this slide so that you don't quote me. So those are the open blocks that we're talking about south of the tar sand, south of Ajay field, but in deeper waters. In order to evaluate those open blocks, PGS acquired some seismic sections, which you have there, for E&P industries to buy and evaluate to see exactly where they are going to find good prospective reservoirs. So in summary, I am saying and canvassing that Nigerian tar sand should be revisited. And I'm also saying that the Cretaceous open blocks are prospective. Before I go, I put this together in the early 90s when I was in my previous company. When we drilled a well, coal mining one, and we didn't find much. I had to go and make a presentation to the minister, may so rest in peace, Rewani Lukman, because people say, in the Chad area, we have hydrocarbon, we have reserves and coal. Why don't we have in Nigeria? So between Chad and Nigeria, you have a subsurface structural high, the Zambuk Ridge, that separates Chad from Nigeria. And you could find, I'm not going to, I want to put it in your head, maybe you can answer these questions later. You could see the difference between here and here. If I quickly tell you, you have a lot of materials here, sediments, that are deeply buried, and you have to bury your sediments for your source rock to be mature. So here, the sediments are not fully buried, and so the source rocks are immature. I stop there, I wouldn't go too much. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I have contributed something to this discussion. Time for questions, time for the panelists to say something. And for my professors who are also listening, Professor Degoke, Professor Rahman, we all did this work together. So it is time for you to add to the little that I've heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu, FNAPE, Executive Director, Exploration, First EMP, Nigeria. Thank you very much for giving us such very insightful and academic-oriented research. Thank you for encouraging our students that are here present, both undergraduate, masters, and PhD students, and for all the lecturers. I am sure the bridge we are building together is getting more strong. Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu, FNAPE. And once again, congratulations. Now we'll move on to panelist discussions. And we'll flow with this order. Remember, I promised to give us back our day. Today is Monday. I promised to give us back our day early afternoon. We'll flow with this in this order for the panelist discussion. Dr. Joe Ejedawe will lead, followed by Professor Ibrahim Garuba, then followed by Professor Sam Akonde, and then by the president, our mommy, Mrs. Patricia Oshobu, all FNAPE and FNMGS. Thank you very much as I hand over to Dr. Joe Ejedawe. Thank you, Doc, as you take over the platform.
Good morning, everybody.
Secretary, do you want to pin Dr. Ejedawe, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the panelists have 5 minutes each for their contributions. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Stand on the existing protocol. I must congratulate Dr. Enu for his presentation, which essentially is a summary of most of the work he and others have done along the West African coast margin. The Cretaceous part essentially focusing on the Cretaceous in relation to the transform margin and the associated hydrocarbon occurrences. Essentially looking at the Cretaceous, I was actually hoping, although he touched on it at the end, I was hoping he would digress a bit to the inland basins, because this is part of what is the trend these days, so that we could have some his insight into his starting from his experience in Shell and the coal mining reef, how that can be translated into the other parts of of the presentation. He has taken us through the opening of the Atlantic, the history in relation to both the structural framework of the basins. In Nigeria, of course, the structural framework is essentially related to the reef system, which is linked to the Atlantic Ocean. So most of the inland basins are associated with that rifting system. The focus, of course, in terms of prospectivity has been mainly associated with the marginal basins, because essentially the inflow of material has been from inland to the margins, and that's why we have the turbidite system in the Jubilee field and most of the field along the West African margin. The tar sands is a perfect example of, and for me, I don't know about others, for me it's still an enigma, but it's a perfect example of a large accumulation associated with the Cretaceous system. Although we always talk of the Niger Delta, if you look at the resources that is confined with just that tar belt alone, it's comparable, if not larger than what we have in the Niger. So it's a large hydrocarbon system, which we have not fully investigated, essentially because we see it as a tar belt. Although if you look in the deep water, which it pointed at, there is potential there in terms of turbidite systems related to the upper Cretaceous, which is probably a frontier, future frontier basin. I would like to talk a little bit about the inland basin, going from what he has presented, just to provide a link. The discovery in Kolmani River is related to the reef system that was formed in the Cretaceous with inversion in the Santonian. That inversion stretches all the way from the Anambra Basin margin area right up to the Gongola Basin. And that exploration well that found some gas was drilled on that western margin of the uplift in the Gongola Basin. So the essential difference, of course, is after the Santonian phase, while the South was still undergoing subsidence, most of the northern basins were actually in an uplift mode. But I'm sure there are still potentials for sinkhole that if we can link them to the pre-Cretaceous systems and the Cretaceous, as further studies have shown in our Cretaceous workshop last year, will demonstrate that there is potential source rock and there's potential for hydrocarbon, especially in those deeper parts of the basin. There's very little that we know of the Sokoto Basin and the Bida Basin. Sokoto Basin actually is, to me, it's a marginal basin related to the Lumeden. And because it's in the margin, I really don't see the prospectivity there. But if you look at the Bida Basin, the structure is unknown in principle until we do proper seismic and the graph map to understand the basement structure. So there is work to be done in the Cretaceous in Nigeria that can link us, that can possibly expose the potential and unleash that potential in the future. So that's all I have to say. I thank you for the exposition for the marginal basin of Cretaceous in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ejedewe, FNAPE. When we say that in NAPE, that we have all that it takes to help develop the younger students and even the lecturers we know what we are talking about. Dr. Ejedewe is a father of Cretaceous. We saw your work recently on Cretaceous. Thank you very much, Dr. Ejedewe. As I call on the immediate Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Professor Ibrahim Garba, NMGS, one of the founding fathers of NAPE UAP. I'm so elated, I'm so excited that you are with us. Thank you, my prof. And it's your time to give us your view on this very important topic. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Let me thank all colleagues, particularly the president of NAPE and our distinguished celebrant for attaining this wonderful ripe age of 70. I'm also happy to hear that the celebrant was actually born in Kano, my home state. I wish he has remained a Kano man since then. Anyway, I'm very happy to be part of this engagement. I'm particularly interested in issues like this, even though I'm a fully hard rocker in geology. But like the introducer said, I've been participating in NAPE activities for quite some time, and I've been so engaged with our colleagues in NAPE. Besides, we that are managers of universities, we are always informed by developments by our colleagues that are really working in issues like the presenter presented. And for us in Ahmadu Bello University particularly, you know that geology has been so strong, so grounded. Many of our colleagues in the industry are products of Ahmadu Bello University. Many of our senior colleagues have had one thing or another to do with Ahmadu Bello University. At this point, I would want to also extend our condolence on the demise of our late erudite Professor S.W. Peters, who started his career in Ahmadu Bello University and ended up in Akwa Ibom State. May his soul rest in peace. I really don't have much to say, but I want to make 3 points, actually. The first being that much of what I would want to speak about the lean or the curious omission of the inland basins by the presenter. I was about saying that the man so engaged in deep water that he's forgotten about inland basin potentials. But our own Jidawe has really pointed that out. I think we were actually we were expecting, given the topic, that he was going to really engage the Cretaceous as a whole, not really concentrating on the Dahomey Basin and the inland part of it and so on. But that as it may, Cretaceous for us is so important. And you know that we rely heavily on experts like Dr. Enu to please direct and advise government. If you know the current policy, billions and billions of dollars are being spent in oil prospecting in inland basins. I think we are all Nigerians. If there are issues that relate technically to promoting or discouraging such engagement, we should open up. We should not just follow politicians because they want it to be done and we follow them and support them. Particularly our main organ of oil exploration, NNPC, is fully involved in this. And we cannot be in industry players and academia players without supporting, correcting, directing, NNPC to do the right thing, because this is ours actually. And all OIC can leave Nigeria, NNPC will remain with us. So if there are information, if there are knowledge that will help direct, support, even discourage NNPC from doing what it is, it's better we open up. Because I cannot imagine our celebrant knowing so much, being an industry person, not to know much really, to open up and give advice. I'm also particularly interested in the oil sands. I'm curious that it spent so much time on tar sands, which, because tar sand in today's Nigeria is actually by law classified under solid minerals development. And I had a stint in government. I started the Nigerian mining cadastre system, where we put all the blocks of bitumen to bits and so on. So most of you in the oil industry may not know the governance structure and many things that have to govern the tar sand issues. But I'm curious, Dr. Enu being a Shell and other IOC person, why is it that this resource has remained undeveloped for eternity? Why is it? If it's that potential, if it's that really potential, if it has that potential, as a country, can't we really go start developing it? It has remained what it is, just like many other things, for all these for decades. So I would want our celebrant to really open up more and more on this, because we also know much about the challenges of the bitumen, apart from the ones you mentioned, because we have seen information in government that probably was discouraging investors in that direction. Above all, finally, for academicians generally, particularly Nigerian academicians, when you talk about Cretaceous, people are interested, even those that are not in oil and gas sector. Because also the Cretaceous in Nigeria is a reservoir of 4 deposits. Our current lead and zinc base metal deposits in Nigeria is all within the Cretaceous. And because the world is going, so we begin as a country, we have to begin to see us also beyond oil or supporting oil through our other mineral resources development. So that's why I am interested in the knowledge to help us support our engagement, our quest for mineral exploration in the Cretaceous. And the Cretaceous extend, you can see from the Anambra Basin right to the Borno Basin, and with the flanks of Sokoto and the Bida Basin. I think we need to really begin to engage ourselves more and more in understanding and making the best use of our Cretaceous in Nigeria, beyond actually even oil and gas. I think at this point, I would want to congratulate the celebrant and thank all colleagues for having this opportunity to share our thoughts. Thank you very much, Amina.
Thank you very much, Professor Ibrahim Garba, immediate past Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University. Maybe I'm being prophetic, I don't know. I see it coming together. Doc threw us more into the deep water. He's Mr. Deep Water.
Yes.
Dr. Ejedewe started bringing us to inland.
Yes.
Now, Professor Garba started taking us to the government. My beloved students, distinguished lecturers here, I see a line, I see a contour going on, and maybe NAPE, in her wisdom, may want to champion this, all for the development of our beloved country, Nigeria. I dare to call our beloved Professor Samuel Akonde, who is one of the panelists. It's your time. Thank you, Professor Akonde, as you take the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Very well, sir.
I may first of all congratulate my colleague, Dr. Emmanuel Eno, and I want to congratulate you on this landmark occasion. And at the same time, you have mentioned a lot about Canada. I'm speaking to you from Canada right now. So greetings from Canada, which is your old place where you have essentially talked a lot about our Athabasca sands here in Alberta. Yes, having said that, I want to try and essentially contribute to this, to really essentially say something about this talk. This talk is really very innovative, and I've seen that there was a lot of emphasis on the oil and gas basins that are the transform margin basins of the Cretaceous that we have. Interestingly, one we be very happy at this time to note that the missing gap as far as the possibility of the petroleum systems in our rift and drift basins, we are now having more evidence to say that the two petroleum systems actually exist, not only in the transform margin basins, but also in the inland basins. The Koromani discovery in the last couple of years is essentially very remarkable. And just like Dr. Ejedawe said, one will wish that that initial petroleum system of the lower Cretaceous is essentially targeted to be able to marry all what we know about the different drift basins of the West African system and extending into South America, into the Brazilian basins, that they are properly documented in our inland basins. The Koromani discovery are essentially being tapped from the lower Cretaceous lacustrine source rocks and possibly lacustrine reservoirs, which was missing earlier on at the initial discovery of the Koromani 1. That one is really happy about. One will love our expert, Dr. Eno, to essentially probably also comment on maybe kind of a range of timing of migration of these things. Because why we say that the equivalent of the tar sands is the Ajay field, one wonders if the source rock for Ajay field is essentially the same as what we have for the tar sands. The thing is, we know that the burial history, the burial thermal history essentially dictates when you do your migration. And what we now discover is that you may have some of the hydrocarbons even in the upper Cretaceous reservoirs, but they may not be from the upper Cretaceous source rocks. They may have been even from lower down in the lower Cretaceous system. So these are things that one will need to really find out, maybe with more work. And apart from that, while the tar sands has been very significant, we know that this potential has to be tapped. But at the same time, as far as Cretaceous is concerned, in the sedimentary basins, we know that now there's very much interest in discovering other resources like lithium brines. Lithium brines are now of great targets. We have all these salt deposits in the Cretaceous of our Benue Trough. We don't really know whether what potentials we have as far as extraction of lithium, apart from your lead, zinc, barite, fluorite, and other things that are associated. So one will really see a situation whereby you look at the hotter part of the basins for metals and the cooler parts for hydrocarbons. And that's one of the things that relates to what Dr. Ejedawe said. In the axial part of the Benue Trough, you could see that those thermal anomalies are essentially in association with lead, zinc, barite, fluorite, and indeed, these are essentially the anomalous zones, the emergent highs. Whereas in the thicker parts of the basins, the Anambra Basin, for instance, the Gongola basins, where we now know thicker sediments. These are essentially sub-basins and mini-basins. They also have their own potentials. That's where we now have our hydrocarbons now. We need to note that. And one thing that is really quite significant is the barrier and thermal systems. We know thermal anomalies as high as 75 degrees C per kilometer on the axial highs. This decay to about 35 degrees within the Anambra Basin. And similarly, in the Gongola Basin, that is essentially the approximate type of temperature, which means these are cooler basins with thicker sediments. And that's the reason is no doubt then that we need to really be able to mark this out and say, what do we prospect for on the axial highs? What do we prospect for in the thicker basinal areas, including the potentials for even lithium carbonates and lithium brines, now that electric vehicles are going to be the order of the day. And companies around here, even in Canada, are always asking, are you already producing lithium brines in Nigeria? So these are the things that we have to keep in mind. I believe these are essentially very thought-provoking type objectives that we have essentially addressed today. And I will stop here and listen to others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Samuel Akonde, all the way from Canada. Thank you for joining us so early. I know it's early morning for you. And
yeah, it's just 7 o'clock here, 7:15 here in
thank you very much, I know. And thanks for making our time to join us.
Yes,
I now call on the president of Nigeria Association of Petroleum Explorationists, Mrs. Patricia Oshogo, FNAPE, to take her turn. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just ride on all the existing protocols, and I want to target my discussion to the academia, to the other members of the public who are not necessarily geoscientists. What Dr. Enu's talk has shown, and all the other commentators, is that there is opportunity for significant research to happen in Nigeria. I was taking copious notes when he was talking about the experiences of the Athabasca oil field in Alberta, Canada, where you had issues with the environmental impact, with the footprint of the work, how you take care of the waste and all those. It just makes it clear to me that although those are challenges, I strongly believe that in every challenge, you have opportunities. And therefore, I'm calling on the geoscientists, the environmental scientists, and all the engineers that are in this room on this call to think inwards and figure out how we can solve the problems that have been identified elsewhere, so that we can actually bring financial value to the tar sands for which Nigeria is so richly blessed. Someone has also mentioned that if you look at the volume of the bitumen and tar that is available, that has been mapped, it's equal to the petroleum, the hydrocarbons that we have been exploiting for over 50 years now. So I see opportunities in there. And I would also like a situation where the powers that be, I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about the institutions, I'm talking about the institutions of higher learning, where we actually encourage putting an enabling environment to encourage research in this area. I am very happy that Dr. Enu mentioned that part of this work was done at the University of Ife when he was there. And that is a fact. I know that Professor O.S. Adegoke, this work that he did on tar sands earned him a National Merit Award, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think I'm right. So there is opportunity, apart from recognition, there is financial reward, but we have to have the enabling environment. Some of the speakers have mentioned Olomani River. I know that these wells were drilled about a couple of years ago, but the information about this is very poor in the academic space. So this is to everyone. It's good when we have information. We'll keep it when it's, when it's to our economic advantage, but also we should be able to release either the scrubbed data or the basic information that would encourage research, that will unlock more opportunities. So I would like to conclude by saying that the lecturers on this call, the students on this call, and even all the professionals who are interested in research, there's so much that we can do, even from just what we see in the tar sands of these Cretaceous, and how we relate it to the discoveries that have been made in Nigeria and other West African countries. Thank you. Emmanuel, back to you.
Thank you, my president. Thank you for your time well spent. And I like your angle. You targeted the academia. After all, this work that we listened to today came from 60% came from the academic world. My beloved students, distinguished lecturers here present, we still have a lot of opportunities to conduct a lot of research on this Cretaceous. And from the energy I see around the house, I know that we have a lot of background details from fathers of the geology here present and also others. So we still have a lot of opportunity for more research and more work to be done. Thank you very much as I move on to interactions. We'll still call back Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyi for his more information, but let's give opportunity for interactions and questions. The technical crew is looking through the chats that are coming in, but in case you may want to contribute, you may want to raise your hand, and time permitting us, we'll take all contributions. But again, I promise us that in the next 20 minutes, we're done, and then we'll go and eat our birthday cake and celebrate with our beloved brother and our mentor. So please, it's time for interactions, please. Thank you. Onoja, somebody logged on with a name Onoja. Do you want to unmute yourself? Let me unmute you so that you can go on. Please, Onoja, please, I want us to be time conscious. We know it's his birthday. We've wished him happy birthday. Meanwhile, sir, you have a lot of happy birthday wishes here. So Onoja, please go ahead. I may want to restrict you to 30 seconds, 1 minute. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yes, I stand on all the existing protocols not to wish Doc a happy birthday. A time spent with this cream de la cream of academia is time well spent. This wealth of knowledge that have been shared today, if we have opportunity, would have cancelled the retirement of a distinguished doctor. But I know that Obasanjo tried to make inroads into the exploration of the tar sands in around Ondo State. So then, I think this will be an opportunity for these distinguished men of knowledge to probably advise those that are in position of authority to put our own team together to get the job done instead of always waiting for foreigners to come and invest. We have the knowledge. I'm sure if they support this team of people that have spoken today, they can get this kind of project done for the country, which will push us forward greatly in our economics. Thank you.
Thank you, Onoja, for your contributions. It's well taken and well noted. Our beloved Dr. Kenny Ladipo's hand is up. Dr. Kenny Ladipo, please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. And again, congratulations and happy birthday to Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyi. One of the things that will be very useful after nearly 25 years since detailed work was done is on the Dahomey Basin, particularly the tar sands, is to go back using new ideas and new technology and look at the cores that were acquired. So particularly for universities, knowledge has advanced, technology has advanced, and even the quantification and the exploitation of the tar sands can benefit from a relook. Therefore, we need to make an effort to relocate and take charge of those cores. So, Emmanuel, if you can let us know where those cores are, that would be very useful for the students. The major thing about the tar sands in Nigeria, as opposed to the Athabasca deposits in Canada, is the commercial the commerciality of the deposits. The processing and production and the unit production cost at the end of the day, in a place like Nigeria, tar sands can never compete with it. So therefore, we need to identify other ways and means by which we can utilize this near surface to surface deposits, which extend across 3 states. I think that's something that working together with engineers, chemical engineers, and so on, geologists can do transdisciplinary research to be able to find better utilization and make money from it, because it's an asset that is wasting. We shouldn't be thinking about producing liquid hydrocarbon from it. The last comment I would like to make is that in the Dahomey Basin, particularly offshore, one of the major lessons that has led to the discovery of Ajay Field, Ogu Field, Seme Field in offshore Dahomey Basin, let's not go to Tano Basin, is the fact that we, need data acquisition. Companies made investments to acquire data, particularly 3D. Without 3D, Ogo Field would not have been discovered. And the potential of Ogo Field, and even further down into what Dr. Emmanuel calls open blocks, simply because there's new data, 3D seismic data. There's a major lesson from it. So government needs to encourage companies to invest and acquire new data. And this goes also for the inland basins, which Professor Garba mentioned. We need to create interest in frontier basins for data acquisition, which can lead to greater discoveries. Those are my 3 comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kenny Ladekbo. Dr. Kenny, as we popularly call you in the industry. Thank you very much. I know you will come with core, because that's the starting point for geologists. And I'm sure Dr. Enu FNAPE is taking notes so that when he will be responding briefly, then he will do justice to it. I have Dr. Mohammed Shanda, the HOD of Institute of Petroleum Resources, EFRUN. Dr. Shanda, please go ahead. Mohammed Shanda, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations to the celebrant. But as a point of correction, Dr. Mrs. Asadu is now the current HOD. So
good.
HOD
Thank you.
Earlier. Yeah. My observation is with regards to the contribution given by Professor Sam Akande, which has triggered me on the issue of renewable and sustainable energy in terms of brine lithium. I have a collaboration with a group in Cornwall in UK who are developing and exploring lithium from sea brines. And I think we have similar opportunities and the right environment within the Middle Benue Trough, which I'm aware Professor Akande has had some work earlier in that area. Given the opportunity of the demand of lithium globally because of the renewable energies now, I think Nigeria is in the right position to enhance and develop this ore. Apart from that, we have enormous lithium reserve within the younger granites and the pegmatite complex around the Kefi area. And secondly, just as Professor Garba have mentioned, we would like to have access to the cores that support the exploration of the bitumen tar sands. We have students on ground who have much interest in working in these areas, but access to data is our problem. So I think the NAPE UAP should be able to, give us an enabling environment to support our research. Thank you very much. And once again, congratulations to Professor Eno.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shandan Mohammed. Thank you very much for your contribution. NAPE will always, through UAP, continue to build the bridge between the academia and the industry. Take it to the bank, we will continue to do that. Okay, the last, I have George Onoma. George Onoma, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Please go ahead.
Good. First, I want to congratulate Dr. Inu for the long journey of contribution to the science community. Even the lecture he gave today, the way he breaks things down to basic level so that everybody has all the understanding of what he's talking about. I hope he will create time in retirement to still go back to university to contribute more. I think they need him more than ever before now. Then in terms of comment, yeah, I like Jedaway's presentation also where he looked at all the various Cretaceous basins and all that. And what I get from that is that we probably will not put on Niger data cap when we're looking at these Cretaceous basins, you know, and Professor Akonde also alluded to that, the burial history and all that. Most times when people are looking at Cretaceous basins in Nigeria, I've seen a lot of modeling that people do. They account for Santonia orogeny, they account for the Cenomania orogeny and all that. But what they don't account for is the fact that several hundreds or thousands of meters of sediments have been eroded post-subsidence almost everywhere. So if you take that to Sokoto Basin, for instance, you look at the work that Professor Abaji has done there, he took a lot of T-mass data from shallow boreholes. You look at those T-mass, most of the values is getting things around 430, 434, 433, which means that the sediment that we have on the surface here have been exposed to deep burial and high temperature over time. But when people model, they don't really build that amount of sediment that have been removed there in that place before you can actually get a good model of what you're looking at. So people just look at the remnant sediment that is there today. But what about the thickness that have been removed, which might run into thousands? Nobody built that in. Also, when you're looking at Sokoto Basin, for instance, where Nigeria is on the eastern edge and further edge of the Illimedi Basin, where you go towards Niger, it becomes a lot thicker. Okay? It's been known all over the world that you even have as much as 1,000 kilometers of migration distance from the source rock to actually where the trap exists, traps that are being produced. There are so many examples that have been demonstrated in the world. However, the additional work that we need to do with respect to stratigraphy of that setting is to know whether we are looking at unlapped field when we are building up the stratigraphic evolution within the Illimedi Basin. Is it an unlapped field, in which case it will not allow long distance migration, or is it more of passive field, so that the reservoir that you find in Niger, deep part of Niger, can actually run straight up deep to Nigeria and become the migration pathway to carry oil that generated in Niger to Nigeria. I made a presentation to PTDF on this sometime, also to the EFES, the NMPC people in Ikoyi here. I made some 4 or 5 years ago on that concept. So we shouldn't just look at Sokoto Basin from what it is today. We have to factor in what will come from Niger, sector of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my little comment.
Thank you, Dr. George Onoma, for your wonderful contributions. And more hands are up, but I'll go back to the presenter for his wrap-up inputs before we fly with other few agenda we have on the menu, because our cake is getting hot. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Emmanuel FNAPE.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, the panelists and other contributors who have talked about the Cretaceous. When I started my presentation, I knew that especially my friend and colleague, Dr. Jedawe, was going to talk about the other inland basins. I didn't forget the other inland basins. I did my PhD on the Gongola Trough of the Upper Benue Trough, so I have my passion there as well. But with the time given and where the committee asked me to focus on, that's why I stayed towards the tar sand. And I just gave a teaser towards the end where I showed that cross-section between the Chad and Nigeria. So I just used that to start a discussion, which I'm happy the discussion started and everybody talking about it. The Cretaceous basins around Nigeria, we have them. They were all formed together with the Dahomey Basin. Niger Delta was not there then. All the X-shaped sedimentary basins were formed during the opening of the South Atlantic. And of course, you know that we are prospecting for hydrocarbon in the northeastern part of the basin, where we are trying to acquire more data, drill more wells in order to elucidate exactly what we have there. We have a lot in Nigeria, but we just need time to study these basins. The Cretaceous basins have a lot for us, starting from the Anambra, Abakaliki, Anticlinorum, the Benue Fault, the Benue Fault Belt, up to the Yola and the Gongola Trough, and then the Chad Basin. If you go to the other side, Sokoto Basin, Bida Basin, down to Anambra Basin. And then what I talked about was the solo, standalone basin, that's the Dahomey Embayment, which along the same trend as the West African Triton basins that go all the way to Senegal or stopping in Sierra Leone. So like Simika said, we need to focus our studies on these Cretaceous basins, on the tar sands. We have a lot there. I talked about the impact on the environment, but then it's good for you to know the cons in order to solve those problems. We have other Cretaceous basins that also have hydrocarbon in them. We need data. We need data to study those. So we have a lot in Nigeria. Cretaceous basins are crying for attention, and the tar sands are also crying for attention. So I will thank everybody for wishing me happy birthday. Thank God. I started from the academia, and they asked me to come back to the academia. That's why I came back to you today to give you the results of what I've been doing since I left you. And I hope you'll give me a passport. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the celebrant. And it's so nice to hear from you. You started from the academic world, and you are giving back to the society that formed you. We'll fly with other details, other agenda for today. And while we get ready for our cake cutting, briefly, let me share with us some of the announcements for our event. We're celebrating Dr. Eno at 70. We started today with this presentation, and tomorrow, being Tuesday 27th, is actually his birthday, so he will clock 70 tomorrow. And we are starting with a Thanksgiving service at Guiding Light Assembly at 11 a.m. Guiding Light Assembly is in Laye Ajayi Bembe Road, Parkview, Ikoyi. Then after that, at 1:30 p.m., there will be a book presentation, a book written by Dr. Emmanuel FNAPE, and the link to join the event is as shown. I will later paste it on the chat forum for us to copy. Then on Wednesday, there will be a special NAPE technical session in honor of Dr. Emmanuel Eno. It's going to be a hybrid event holding here in Lagos Eco Hotel, starting at 11 a.m. For those of us who are outside Lagos, you may want to join us via the link. And the link is as shown here. I will also paste it on the chat form. Then on Saturday, 31st of July, there will be a dinner in his honor at Eco Sky Lounge Hotel Eco, but the link is as shown. Please do well to join us with these on these links. Then also on 7th of August, there will be a birthday lunch for him in his hometown, Kwale, Delta State. Then other NAPE announcement, please be informed that abstract submission for NAPE 2021 conference have ended as of July 25th. Then Tuesday, tomorrow, there will be Warri chapter technical meetings. Topic is boosting reserves through seismic technology. The link is as shown. I've announced this. Wednesday is the special session, special technical section for Dr. Eno. On Friday is NAPE Executive Council meeting. And then on Saturday, our beloved YP, NAPE YP, young professionals will be having their technical webinar, Demystifying False Sales Analysis. Please join. It starts at 10 a.m. You may want to join with through this link as shown. Then always check your email if you're a NAPE member. But if you are having challenges, please reach out to our beloved Abeyuwa. Her email is as shown, abeyuwa.o@nape.org.ng, and I'm sure she will do justice to all the questions you may want to have. With this, I will fly to cutting of the cake. So we ask our celebrant to please get ready and show us how to cut his cake as we all join him in cutting the cake. And then he will start eating his cake with few of us that are here. The celebrant, please, thank you, over to you.
You can't go with it. Yes, let's start. No, bring it here. Bring it here. See where he's putting us. Oh. No, remove it from the current.
I hope you can see the cake.
Yes.
A lovely cake.
Yes.
70th birthday cake. And I will rely on the President, Mrs. Patricia Oshobo FNAPE, to guide us on the cutting of the cake.
Okay. Are you ready, sir?
No, just 1 minute, madam. Nice knife. No, it's okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Guys,
Are they seeing the cake?
Yes.
Wait.
Maybe the backdrop is interfering with the cake.
The backdrop is also interfering.
What up like this? What are you saying?
So do we remove the backdrop?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, you can remove it so that we can have the best picture.
And we are not seeing the entire cake. We are not seeing the entire cake. We are just seeing.
We will see it when the backdrop
goes away.
Can you give me access?
No.
Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay now.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Let's see the cake to the base. We are just seeing the top of the cake.
The camera, it has to be moved.
Okay, you can move the
camera.
Is it better?
Or the cake backwards, so we can have some distance between the system and the cake. Okay.
No.
It's just the top part that we're seeing.
Go down. I have to go. I think it's to shift back.
Move the table back.
The table is fixed. Yeah.
Oh, the table is fixed.
Let's move the cake to this side. Let's move it to this side. Yes.
Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, then we turn the camera. That's
Alayinka.
Use a higher table, or raise it.
No.
Look at it. Yeah. So which one? Okay, meet this one. Okay, so you can do it now. I think it will be better now.
Can I share a video? Maybe you need to give me a
Okay.
He's moving the right one now.
Are you there now? Okay, you can do it now, right? So go and view it there.
That's better.
Yes.
That's better.
Yeah.
This is very okay.
This one. All right.
Can you close the blinds so that the light will be reduced, please?
Okay.
This is it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think we are better.
It's okay.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, so please let's join him in this social distance. Look, you are the middle.
So we are going to cut this cake on the count of Cretaceous. All right, so give me a C.
C.
An R.
R.
An E.
E.
And a T.
T.
Give me an A.
A.
A C.
C.
An E.
E.
O, please.
O.
And a fantastic U.
U.
And a fabulous S. You may cut the cake on Cretaceous. All right then. Please, you can use THL or any other means to share our portion to us.
Yes. Let's see.
Virtual sharing.
Virtual sharing. Yes. Congratulations.
If you have his personal, let him have his personal picture.
Okay, so doctor.
That's good.
Have your personal.
Please. You need to come back and take a personal for our records.
Yes, please. Doc, please go and take a personal for our record.
Tunde, do you get that?
Yes.
All right then. Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday.
Okay. Dr. Madrawia.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, the subsurface team of First EMP that joined our beloved dog to cut his Cretaceous cake. It's a wonderful one. While we call on our beloved Dr. Prince Kunle Adeshida to get ready to give us closing remarks, I want us to listen briefly to this. I want us to briefly listen to this as I share my small screen on this. Just 1 second.
This one? Yes, no. The company is bringing a cake. No, this one is for today. Company is bringing it.
Can we see it?
Yes.
Doc, we celebrate you. Hey, you can't hear the sound. Thank you very much, and congratulations to Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu Enu FNAPE. Now, sorry, I have some of my colleagues here. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. And I'll call on Dr. Prince Kunle Adeshida for his vote of thanks before we have closing remarks, and then we'll move on. Dr. Kunle Adeshida, please, is your time.
Well, congratulations to Dr. Emmanuel Eno on this special occasion. And we wish you God's guidance and blessings all the time. I believe everyone can hear me.
Very well, sir.
Can you share your video, sir?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the chairman, the amazing and erudite discussants for this event, the celebrants and family members here present through this Zoom meeting. We also appreciate our executive governors who logged on this system. The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Delta State, Mr. Ifeanyi Ato Okonwa, the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu SAN, the governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, and the group managing director of NNPC, Mr. Meli Yari. Thanks for your special interest, and of importance is also this topic will also contribute immensely to the growth and development of Nigeria and your state. I believe that during this special webinar session, which is arranged to celebrate the 70th birthday of our friend, colleague, teacher, and astute professional of oil and gas, Dr. Emmanuel Eno. All of us as of now and before have shared and obtained a fruitful discussion on this topic, unleashing the prospectivity of the Cretaceous deposits in Nigeria. We have learned a lot from this celebrant's presentation and also from the amazing discussants and individual contributions during this time. And indeed, the attendant implication, both in the growth and development of our country and our states, the application of new technique and technology, the development of skills, as we have seen, and then potential opportunities and economic assurance for Nigeria. For example, the tar sands, which is actually the primary of this discussion, 43 years ago, Dr. Emmanuel taught me and three of my friends as postgraduate students at the University of Ife, now FNAPE. I believe we must have been probably the first set of postgraduate students on tar sand. Among them, myself, Dr. Tony Olawoki, Dr. Adeniran, and Shuremekun. At the end of the day, we all graduated successfully under the auspices of Professor O.S. Adegoke and other lecturers and Dr. Emmanuel. And three of us out of the four joined Shell, and where Dr. Elu eventually also came and joined Shell. All these things are not just by coincidence, it is by design. While we were there, I believe, and I still know that, we have a lecturer-student ratio of 1 to 2. Very rare, 1 lecturer to 2 students. I believe we can go back to that time again. On this note, I once again, on behalf of the planning committee, where we're going to show the photograph of all the the committee members today, who have put a lot of effort, thank you very much, into this. We also like to thank First A&P Management, Engineer Ademola Adeyemi Bero, and also NAPE for sponsoring and supporting this event respectively. We thank you. Without any outer of doubt, we also like to thank all the institutions where the footprints of the celebrants have been established. For example, Obafemi Awolowo, University of Pau in France, Shell Petroleum Development Company, both in Nigeria, Netherlands, and also in Houston, US of A. These have shown and have actually told us now that you cannot do it alone. You will need to cooperate with other members to achieve your aim. Similarly, we express thanks to all his friends, colleagues, teachers, peers, who have actually contributed immensely to the development of our country, and the students in particular. We are very much aware that Dr. Emmanuel has a special interest in developing students. And this can be attested to by NAPE, where he has given a lot of scholarship. We say thank you, Dr. Emmanuel, for bringing these students to speed. Finally, we'd like to thank you to also follow the events as being presented by the chairman of the UAP of NAPE. You're all welcome at every time. Please remember, it is a small adage. It is mandatory and a special privilege to get old and older, but it is optional to look young and young, as we are seeing our friend, our teacher, Dr. Emmanuel, in the pictures today. We also use this opportunity to thank his wife and family for keeping him strong, giving him the opportunity to actualize his dream. Thanks for your attendance and contribution to this virtual meeting, where we say happy birthday to Dr. Emmanuel N. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, my chairman, Dr. Prince Kunle Adeshida. I call him my chairman because he's the chairman of the committee of friends that are putting all these birthday events together. Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, all the representatives of His Excellencies. Thank you, all your excellencies that are here with us. I've been reaching out, and thanks for understanding some geological jargons that we've been giving out, Cretaceous and Oligocene and all those things. Thank you all. And I will fly to the NAPE president to give us a closing remark if she has, then before we say the closing prayer, which is the national anthem. My president, over to you, ma'am.
So, Dr. Enu, thank you very much for all you do for our profession. I thank Mrs. Rita Enu, my own sister, for all the support that she has given you to enable you reach these heights. And I also thank the rest of your family for the support. I thank you for all you do for NAPE. Like I said at the beginning, you were my course advisor. And so whatever it is I have done in life, I owe a lot of it to you. Thank you very much. On behalf of NAPE, in fact, for all you have done for NAPE, past president, past advisory council member, financier of NAPE, I just want to thank you. I thank all of you who have listened, who have spent a good chunk of your time and data on this event. I believe it's a time well spent. You could also, even from when Dr. Enu was talking, that he's a teacher of teachers. He broke down geology, and even a non-geologist will be able to follow the stories he told about the evolution of the Cretaceous. So on behalf of the NAPE Executive Committee and on behalf of the NAPE members, I say thank you for all you do. And I want to thank every participant for honoring this invitation. I wish you all a great week ahead.
Thank you, my president. And Doc, I'm sure you will be seeing a lot of goodwill messages coming to you. Somebody is asking that you should share the recipe of what you are eating to look so young, so that we all can start looking so young like you. Thank you. And I fly to NAPE Secretariat for the closing prayer. I promise to give us back our early afternoon. Thank you all. NAPE Secretariat Tunde, closing prayer, national anthem. Thank you. Tunde, can we hear you? Tunde, do you want to start? Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations, Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyi Chukwuenu FNAPE. And with this, we wrap up and we close. Today, you may stop recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Great great event.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, my
So now
president-elect.
I'm ready to travel to Abuja. I'm heading back to Abuja. I had to be in this, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my
Thank
president. Thank you, my president-elect.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So now I can travel in peace.
Yeah, you have safe flight. Greet Ajibola for me in
Thank you.
Abuja.